Good morning and welcome to the 10 a.m. daily weather brief. Start us off, we'll take a look at our latest surface analysis chart here, and we can see that Hurricane Imelda has continued to move further away from the eastern seaboard and is now off of the chart, and that is as high pressure centered across eastern Canada continues to slide southeastwards today across the northeast, and that is also causing the gradient between those two systems to subside and now bring in some below average temperatures, decreasing winds, and some overall pleasant conditions for today, as mentioned in the earlier brief. Friday, we will see continued cooler temperatures, as this setup remains largely unchanged. And then Saturday, the temperatures will begin to moderate out as an amplified mid to upper level ridge begins sliding over the east coast, and that is going to allow for those continued dry conditions as well. And then moving on, our synoptic pattern looks to remain similar through the weekend with ridging aloft overhead and high pressure dominating and taking control of our predominant weather features at the surface. And then by Monday, we'll see an upper level trough begin making an approach out from the west, from the Great Lakes region, and that is going to shove our high pressure off the mid-Atlantic coast, and then we'll see those winds shift to a more southerly direction, in which Monday and Tuesday we'll see the possibilities for warmer temperatures, and those would be above normal for this, or above average for this time of the year. And our next best chance for rain does arrive, say, late Tuesday into Wednesday, as a surface trough or front, moves into the area and crosses the region. And other than that, we should see largely dry conditions throughout the remainder of our 7-day period. Now, moving on to our 24-hour forecast here, we can see those scattered to broken conditions persisting through the day today, and maybe lightening up as we get into the late afternoon, early evening hours, and into those overnight hours, continuing that trend into the early hours of tomorrow morning. And for our temperatures today, they do look to climb into the upper 60s, mid to upper 60s, and then for our lows tonight into the upper 50s. As mentioned earlier, we do look to remain dry today, and our winds have fallen well below what we saw yesterday. We're seeing winds generally in the 10 to 15 knot range right now, and as we move through the day, that's expected to continue until ultimately they die down a bit as we move into the early hours of tomorrow, in which they will become much lighter. Now, for the short-term risk chart here, Friday we can anticipate partly to mostly cloudy conditions and a high of 67. And then Friday night will be mostly clear with clouds early but decreasing throughout the period to that mostly clear condition. And then Saturday, mostly sunny skies and a high of 73 with no real weather-related concerns to make note of on that front. And that brings us to the 7-day forecast, in which today and tomorrow will be the coolest days of the upcoming week. We'll see a few clouds mixed in today, and maybe a little bit more on Friday before we start to see that clearing effect on Saturday and Sunday, and then clouds slowly but surely start building in Monday, Tuesday, and into Wednesday when we see that possible frontal passage, and we do have a lower end chance of some precipitation making its way into the forecast, but generally our temperatures will be increasing throughout the week once we get into the weekend, and that will continue into the early and mid portion of next week, with our lows riding around the mid to upper 50s until next week, in which we'll break into the 60s. Now that is going to conclude the 7-day outlook. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow at 8:15.